Well, while I was in the hospital there, Ath and Annie came up to see me, and they was helping me work with my ankles and my feet and my legs and ankles, and Bob said that they were very good medicine for me. And I'll never forget, they had me on a board and had me fastened on, so I wouldn't fall. They was trying to help me get my balance back on me, yes, with me. And Annie stood there at the bottom and she sang, da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum-da-da-da-da-da. And I got to laughing. And she turned around and there stood Bob Martin, and he says, well, he said, do you know the version of it? And first time in my life I ever saw my sister go red in the face, and believe you me, did her face ever go red. And she says, I don't know the words to it. And Bob says, well, I can tell you what they are. And he says, Annie didn't really want him to say, because I think she kind of probably knew how half-heartedly. And old Bob says, they don't wear pants in the southern part of France. And of course, Annie was doing kind of like a hula when she sang that. And I guess everybody in the therapist room was watching her, and she didn't know it. And then I happened to look up and see him, and that's when I got to laughing. And my sister was so embarrassed, but bless her sweet heart, they come up and helped me, and that they were good medicine for me. Bob Martin would help me, and I got to walk so that I could walk through the pool. The water would hold up the weight of my body, and I could walk from one side to the other. Bob was always with me when I walked with them. And then they started me walking through a parallel bar, and I asked Dr. Volk if I could go home, and he said, when you learn to walk through that parallel bar without any help, you can go home. So then that year at Thanksgiving time, I said, please, do I have to stay in the hospital for Thanksgiving? And the doctor said, no. He said, where do you want to go? And I said, to Max and Joyce Wilson's. He said, okay, you can go to Max and Joyce's, but then you've got to come back. You can't stay there. You'll have to come back. So Max come and pick me up, and he says, and another thing, after you eat your lunch, then I want your dinner, I want you to go lay down on the bed and rest. I said, do I have to? And he said, do you want to go? And I said, well, yes. He said, then you have to. That's your answer. So I went, Max come and pick me up, and we had dinner. When we got ready to sit down, by my plate was a rosebud and a vase. And I stayed at Max and Joyce's just as long. I did take a rest, but I stayed at Max and Joyce's just as long as I dared. And when I got back to the hospital, it was after 8 o'clock, and the nurses said to me, have you had your meal? And I said, yes, ma'am, I have. She said, you know that your dinner's sitting down there in that kitchen waiting for you? I said, then feed it to someone else, because I don't want it. And so she wasn't very happy with me, but that was all right. I got out of the hospital for a while. There was feeling that was coming when I would go down to therapy before the feeling come back in my legs. They'd take me down on a stretcher. And they lowered the stretcher into the water, and Bob pulled the blanket off of it, so that, because the blanket would be soaking wet, and one time he pulled it and I went with it. And he reached down and pulled me up, and I said, well, for crap's sake, Bob, that's a fine way to treat a patient. And he laughed and he said, are you hurt? And I said, no, but let's not do that trick anymore. And then when I can't just remember the time, it was in the last of November, I think. In the hospital, they would have to come and turn me every 2 hours. And right on the dot, they come and I was turned over. And this one morning, the nurse came in and she said, who turned you? And I said, I beg your pardon. She says, who turned you? I said, I don't know who turned me. She said, well, this isn't the side you're supposed to be on. You're supposed to be on the other side. And I rolled over and I said, why? What difference does it make? And then all of a sudden it dawned on me that the paralysis had left me. And she washed out of that room like a bat out of Hades. And in come Dr. Vogue and, I don't know how many other nurses. He says, I understand you can move. And I said, yes, I can. I'm so thankful. And so he got a thing that looked like a pizza cutter. And he started running up the leg and between my toes. And I'd flinch, and he said, can you feel that? I said, would you like to lay on the bed and let me do that to your leg and see if you can feel it? I said, of course I can feel it. And he says, well, the paralysis went clear up to my thigh. And I said, well, the paralysis has left you. And I said, well, thank the Lord for that. I hope you don't try that trick any more times. But after I came out of surgery, Dr. Bogue, I was laying in the room, and they didn't know that I could hear them. They thought I was asleep. And all the kids was there. Dr. Bogue said to them, are you prepared to take care of your mother? She'll never walk. And I thought, well, who in the crap is he to think that I'll never walk? So I said, Kay. And Kay said, what? And I said, come here. And he walked over to the bed, and they said, oh, you're awake. And I said, yes. And I said, would you please tell that fat old snoobers over there, whoever he is, that I will walk? I am not going to be paralyzed. I am going to walk. And they all looked at me, and they looked at Dr. Bogue. Well, now, Dr. Bogue came and stood by the bed. He was tall and thin and trim and dressed in a dark brown suit with a tie, and his suit and his shoes matched each other. His tie was one that went very well with the suit, and a white shirt. And I thought, oh, Lord. And he said, let me ask you a question. Is Fat Snoober a good name or a bad name? I said, it's a bad name if you think I'm not going to walk, because I will walk, and I will show you I'll walk. And he kind of patted me on the leg, and of course I couldn't feel him. He said, I hope you do. I said, I'll show you, I will walk. Well, they kidded me about me calling him a fat old snooper, because he was far from fat, and he was very miraculously dressed and everything. But he told me after the paralysis left me that when I could, first of all, they got me a walker kind of affair that had a seat across the back of it, and I could hang on to the side. And I would walk up and down the hospital corridor at night, and I'd have a nurse with me in case I would get, so I wouldn't fall. And if I got tired, I'd just sit down and then get up and walk again. And he told me I could do that. But I got to back up a bit. When I was in the hospital, I was put on the second floor first. And there was a little lady in there, and she says, may I ask what religion you are? And I said, yes, I'm LDS. She said, my gracious, what horrible crime did you do? And I said, why? And she said, well, your God punishes you when you do a crime. She says, that's why you're paralyzed. Well, I didn't want to be in the room with that lady. I told Joyce, I said, Joyce, I don't want to be in here with her. I said, please get me another room, can you? Because Joyce was a bookkeeper there at that time. And so she talked to the nurses, and they moved me into another room. Now, they put me in a room with a little lady that had her own television. Now, she thought if I was watching that television, she'd have the nurses come in and pull the drapes, the curtains between the beds so I couldn't see it. And one day, the kids come in to see me, and she rang her bell, and the nurse came in, and she said, I want you to tell that lady over there she can't have all these people in her room because I can't rest. And my kids weren't making a noise. They were just, over by the window talking to me, because I was on the west side of the room. And the nurse says, well, they haven't making any noise. She says, get them out of here now. I don't want them in here. And the kids stayed for a while, and she kept putting up such a flash, so I told them, I said, we'll go. And she says, I knew I could get rid of your company. She says, you're she called me a slimy, winkly worm or something. And I told Joyce, I said, Joyce, either she leaves this room or I do. So they didn't have an extra room to put me in. Finally, they fixed up the room down on the north end of the hospital on the 5th floor. And it was a room that I could see the brides, people going to the temple, and I had the bed raised up. And I thoroughly enjoyed watching them go in and out of the temple, and especially when the bride and the grooms come out to have their picture taken, I watched them. So I didn't mind being in that room at all. But when Dr. Bogue told me that when I walked parallel bars without any help, now I had to buy a pair of boots because my ankles was real weak. The boots I bought, I had to have them taken and made cut smaller to fit my ankles and have arch supports put in them. And by the time I got through with those boots, it was worth a gold mine. And I still have them, and I'm going to keep them, because whoever knows, maybe I might need them again, but I hope I never do. And everybody that saw me in them called them Mammy Oaken boots, and I probably look like Mammy Oaken in them. But anyway, I got these boots, and I put them on, and I started walking the parallel bars, and I'd go, they would take it so they could slide a chair up so I could sit on it if I got tired. And they had the wheelchair at one end, and then a straight back chair at the other end. I said, I don't want you to put any chair behind me, and I don't want you to touch me, because I'm going to walk these bars today. And that was on the 21st of December. And Bob Martin said, do you think you can do it? It was him and John Milling, and I said, I will walk these bars. And so I walked the bars. And as I sat down at the other end, every step I took, I said, Father, please don't let me fall. Please help me. And I said, you bless me. I say this in my mind all the time. I said, you blessed me so far. Please bless me and help me to get out of this place. And as I sit down at the other end, Dr. Bogue was standing in the doorway. And he looked at me, and he says, do you think you can make it back? And I said, yes, sir, I'll make it back. So I made it back without any help. I said, sir, can I go home? And he said, yes. And Bob Martin come over and put his arm around me, and so did the other guys there. And I said, thanks for your help, guys. I appreciate it. Because when I was paralyzed, Bob and John had come and worked my legs, move them up and down and give me exercises on my legs, even though I couldn't feel it. So I thought that was pretty swell for them to come and do that. I got back in the room and I called Lois, and I said, what are you doing today, dear? And she said, oh, just nothing. Why? I said, please, may I come to your home? Mom, you sure can. And she said, when can you come out? And I said, as soon as you can come get me. So bless her heart, Brian, they got a hospital bed from Donna Fulmer, and they moved Brian and his bed out of his bedroom and put that one in there. Lois come and got me, and I went home. I stayed to her home on the 21st of December that year, and I stayed there. We had Christmas there with them that year.